Okay, so let's look at student C. Here it's called response 7, but ignore that. So again, let's start with the attitudes and perspectives. How does this writer see the world within this text? What is their perspective? How do they experience the sea and the situation they're in? Let's start with that. Oh, it's quite a bit. So he feels uncertain, the uncertainty of being at sea, and he struggles at sea. He doesn't feel safe at sea. So they're all things that Ben Fogle, that's his perspective. That's how he's experiencing things in this text. It's dark and difficult for him to read the waves. They've gone into quite a bit of sophisticated detail here, actually, because what they're saying is it's metaphorically it's dark because he doesn't know how he's going to get out of this journey. So he's facing an almost an emotionally dark time. But also it actually is dark, so because he can't see. So that's quite a sophisticated thing to say there. I probably wouldn't have thought of that, to be perfectly honest. Now, the attitudes and perspectives of the person in source B do exist. Now, as I've said, what happens with Exam Pro is it can't highlight two things at once. So some of these perspectives actually get highlighted when we come to the comparison bit, but I'll point them out here anyway. So he talks about this fearful and terrifying experience of being at sea. This is the perspective and viewpoint of William Hudson. That's how he's experiencing the world. That's how he's seeing the world. Talks about his fear. There's some ever approaching danger. Poor old William Hudson. And then later on, again, this is highlighted when we come to experience, when we come to comparison. But the experiences and attitudes and perspectives of the two writers are that Ben Fogle is distressed. Hudson is still fearful. But also here that both of them feel hopeful. They're both hopeful. So again, we've got distress, fear, and hope. These are their experiences. If we look at where the writer, the student has compared the experiences of the two writers, here, in both sources A and B, the writers describe the end of the dangerous experience as calm again. However, there is a sense of fear in both sources. So here, the student is directly comparing the experiences of Fogle and Hudson. And again, when the student talks about the hope, they are directly comparing Hudson's and Fogle's experiences. They both experience some kind of hope. They also do it here. This comes under methods because they've kind of tangled the methods and the comparison have got a little bit tangled up here, which is absolutely fine. But just to point out, they've compared the viewpoint of Hudson in source B with the viewpoint of Fogle in source A, in saying that they both find the experience perilous. So we will now come on to methods. This student has actually identified quite a lot of methods. All this here is method. They've talked about the short, simple sentence that Fogle uses in source A, which is used to convey this sense of danger. So this method directly relates to Fogle's perspective. It's showing his perspective. It's showing that he feels danger. And here They've talked about the simile throbbing like an overworked human heart, which is showing Hudson's fear. It's mirroring how fearful Hudson is because he's scared, literally, the boat's going to die. And that's a very good reason to be scared. So they've highlighted a method there, in this case, a simile. And then quotations and textual evidence. Again, as I've said before, there aren't massive, massive long paragraphs copied out. They've just highlighted tiny bits of text that prove their point. These pieces of text all show the writer's attitudes, ideas, and perspectives. This isn't about finding and copying out large paragraphs of text. You don't need to do that to get good marks. So let's look at the marks. What did they get? They got 15, so that's great. That's pretty much top. I don't know why they didn't give them 16, but anyway, that's obviously a really good answer. They've identified attitudes and perspectives. They've compared those attitudes and perspectives, and they've commented on the methods that the writers have used to get those attitudes and perspectives across. To be honest, I don't think I would get 15 in this exam because it's so much to get down in such a short amount of time. You've got to really demonstrate so many skills. This is a real answer, so it's clearly possible. It's something to aim for. I'm really not expecting people to be getting 15 and 16 given the year that you've had. Anything over half marks is actually great and a real achievement. But this just shows what we know, what can be achieved, and I suppose is something to aim for. But please, please don't be off put by it.